Last week, we visited a loving couple and saw how adopting a little girl from an orphanage changed her life and theirs.
This week, we turn to a less traditional adoptive family. Mr. Chen is a bachelor by choice who has also decided to become a father. Conventional wisdom has it that a child needs two parents, but he's proven this wrong by raising a boy who's thriving in a happy home.
Many orphans in Taiwan are never adopted past the age of 3. This could change if more non-traditional adoptees were given a chance. Join us for part 2 of our weekly special report.
Every year for the past 5 years, between 200 and 300 orphans have found families each year. But the number of orphans still waiting for homes is much higher than this.
Let's talk about last year. By the end of last year, we had close to 100 kids at Good Shepherd orphanage. These are all kids we had yet to match up with families, kids who still must wait for families to adopt them.
For orphans, there's a so-called golden hour for adoption. Once children pass 3 years of age, their likelihood of finding a suitable home goes down sharply. Over the years, an increase in divorces has led to an increase in the number of older children who need adoption.
These past few years, we had many siblings. Right now, I have about 14 sets of siblings that need to be adopted at the same time.
For social workers, the hardest thing to see is kids who never get adopted. These children grow up in an orphanage without parents.
They live as a group. For ease of management, sometimes institutions will prefer that the kids not have personal belongings. It's easier that way because the staff rotates in and out on shifts. If you see someone who has grown up in an orphanage, you end up feeling rather sad because they don't have anyone to confide in.
Children who grow up without a family often have more problems on the path to adulthood. Compared to other children, they have less support, face riskier situations, and are at greater risk of going astray. Walking into Mr. Chen's home, one sees toys everywhere and a tent in the middle of the living room. This tent is one of Hao-hao's favorite places to play with his father.
大熊的鹅宝宝哦，好，鹅宝宝一打开来，就对熊熊爸爸说什么？爸爸，哦，他就叫爸爸，爸爸。熊熊爸爸就说，可是你是鹅，我是熊熊，我是你的爸爸吗？不是啊。
Three-year-old Hao-hao listens intently as his father reads him his favorite story. Over the years, Chen has worked with numerous troubled youths at a social welfare organization. He knows better than most people how important family is to a child's development.
If a family is functional, if the family has a sufficiently close relationship with the child, then it is generally quite hard for the child to be led astray.
Chen, who is single, decided to adopt after learning at a Child Welfare League Foundation seminar that adoption is legal for unmarried individuals. Studies have found that the quality of parenting is more important to a child's development than being raised by two parents.
Actually, all the research shows that the most important thing is having a good home environment and good care. It really has nothing to do with whether you have one parent or two. So what I want to say is, particularly with adoptive parents, the key is being willing to make adjustments for the child and being willing to invest in the child.
Despite what research says, not every birth parent is willing to adopt out a child to a single-parent household. But for Hao-hao's biological mother, this was a decision she could live with.
Sometimes when something happens, I tell myself, this isn't what I asked for, nor is it what I wished for, but I have to let God handle it. Actually, God will arrange everything for you. I'm convinced that God arranged for Hao-hao to be here. God arranged for me to accompany this child as he lives his life.
这是你最小的时候的照片呢，你还没有来爸爸家的时候。
To prove that he can be a good father, Chen had to complete a nanny course to earn certification as a care worker. As a young boy, Hao-hao had developmental problems. Chen took a half-year leave of absence from work to help his son.
家你比较想要哪一个？都不要。
Under strict scrutiny and supervision from the Child Welfare League Foundation, Chen became the agency's first unmarried adoptive parent.
刚开始他从来没有问过妈妈，可是当他去
In the beginning, he never asked about his mother, but after he started kindergarten, he came home one day and suddenly asked me about her. He said to me, "Dad, what about my mother?" I told him, "Where is your mother? She encountered difficulties in life and couldn't take care of you, so she let Daddy look after you." I'm not sure how much he can understand, but he knows he has a mother.
Although he is an excellent father in the eyes of social workers, there are still some things that worry him.
我那时候的担心就是说，如果孩子长大了以后，
At the time, my biggest worry was, what if he grows up and he isn't satisfied with old dad's parenting? What if he complains and says, "Why did you adopt me back then? If you hadn't adopted me, maybe there would have been foreigners who wanted to adopt me." But anyway, the Child Welfare League Foundation gave me lots of support. They say, growing up, who hasn't complained? Particularly in the teen years, who hasn't complained about their parents? As parents, all we can do is to tell children we are trying very hard, that we want to give them a good home.
我想要跟你在一起，好吗？
Like any other parents, adoptive parents wear their hearts on their sleeves when it comes to their children. Theirs is a love that transcends blood ties.